What you're about to hear is not casual encouragement. It is a shift in how you confront resistance, in how you interpret struggle, in how you carry yourself when the pressure feels unbearable. Because here's the truth, every achievement worth having has one unshakable ingredient: you simply never give up. We romanticize persistence when it's far away. We put it on posters, we nod at it in books. But when you're in the middle of it, when your idea has failed twice, when the job you needed said no, when you've been trying for months and the results are still invisible, that's when persistence becomes ugly, heavy, lonely. That's when most people quit, not because they couldn't win, but because they couldn't carry the weight of continuing. You need to understand this. Quitting is not a moment, it's a slow erosion, a quiet surrender in your mind long before your body stops moving. It's when you start to say, maybe later, maybe I wasn't meant for this, maybe this is enough. And in that moment, the moment you let those thoughts in, your momentum bleeds away. The dream doesn't die because it was impossible, it dies because you gave it permission to. So what if you made one rule for yourself starting today? That no matter the delay, no matter the rejection, no matter the embarrassment, you will not quit. Not as a motivational slogan, not as a cute caption, but as a law you live by, a contract with yourself that is not negotiable, because once quitting is off the table, all that's left is figuring it out. History is littered with men and women who weren't the fastest, the smartest, or the most gifted, but they were the ones who refused to leave the field. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try, or his 10th, or his 100th. It took over 1,000 documented attempts. That wasn't luck. That wasn't a miracle. That was refusing to give up even when every sign said stop. J.K. Rowling was rejected by a dozen publishers before one finally said yes, and she wrote the early drafts of Harry Potter as a single mother, unemployed with almost no resources. That was showing up again when the world told her no. This isn't theory, this is the pattern. The people you admire have one shared habit: they kept moving forward when it made no sense to, and that's the decision you face now. Will you be the one who folds at the first wall, or the one who climbs over it, crawls under it, or knocks it down, no matter how long it takes? From this moment forward, your standard must be clear. I finish what I start. I stay in the fight. I do not give my dream an expiration date. Say it out loud right now, not a whisper, not a hope, a command. I will not give up. I will not quit. No matter what happens, I stay in the fight, because the world bends to the man or woman who refuses to stop walking. Most people quit right before they were about to win. They think they're far from the finish line when in reality they're inches away. But here's the problem: when you can't see the result yet, when you've been grinding for weeks, months, years, and the scoreboard still reads 0, your mind starts whispering, maybe this isn't working, maybe this was never meant to be. And if you listen to that voice, you'll never know how close you were. This is the brutal truth. The moment you feel like you've reached your limit, the moment your energy is gone, your options are exhausted, and your belief is paper thin, that's often the final gate before the breakthrough. Why? Because success isn't just about skill or resources, it's a stress test. The universe, the market, the opportunity, they push you to the edge to see if you're serious, to see if you're the type who will stay until it bends in your direction. You've seen this pattern in every field. Roger Bannister ran the first sub-4-minute mile in 1954, but before him, athletes had tried for decades, convinced by experts that it was physically impossible. Do you know when he broke the record? In a year when his own training was interrupted, when the weather on race day was bad, when the signs said not now. He did it anyway, and within a year dozens of runners broke the same record. Not because they got faster overnight, but because someone proved it could be done, and suddenly the wall in their minds fell. The same thing happens in business, in art, in personal goals. The barrier is often mental first, physical second, and the mental barrier is the one that takes most people out. They get to the hardest part, the plateau, the stall, the dark stretch where nothing is working, and instead of pushing through, they interpret it as failure. But the plateau is not failure. The plateau is the training ground for the next level. Think about it: when you start something, your energy is high. You're fueled by novelty and excitement. Progress comes fast. Then the inevitable slowdown happens. You hit the wall. The results stop matching the effort. And here's the fork in the road. Most will quit, some will pause and never return. But the rare ones keep going without evidence. And those are the ones who find the breakthrough. Science backs this up. In skill development, there's something called the plateau effect. It's the period where measurable progress stalls despite continued effort. Neurologically, it's because your brain is consolidating skills, strengthening pathways, and adjusting to higher demands. But because you can't see that happening, it feels like nothing is working. Most people bail before the brain has finished rewiring. They leave during the build. That's why your job is simple. Stay in the game long enough to let the work catch up to the result. Edison faced this. 10,000 failed prototypes before the light bulb worked. Do you think every single day of that process was exciting? Do you think every morning he woke up believing 100% that today's the day? No. He had days where his team doubted him, where his resources were almost gone, where logic said to stop. But he understood the law of persistence. You only have to be right once. And the only way to get to that once is to keep showing up. The tragedy is that most quitters will never know if they were 10 steps or 10 minutes away from their win. They stop digging a foot before hitting gold. They pack up the tent the night before the sun rises. They forget that the edge of exhaustion is also the edge of expansion. Let me be direct with you. If you are in that phase right now, if you've been grinding and the needle hasn't moved, you are likely closer than you think. The resistance you feel is not proof you should stop. It's proof you're in the right place. It's the last defense before the door opens. The question is, will you push once more, or will you retreat and tell yourself the lie that it just wasn't meant to be? This is why never giving up is more than stubbornness. It's strategy. It's understanding that outcomes are not evenly distributed over time. Sometimes you'll see nothing for months, then everything will happen in a single week. But you only get to that week if you stay in long enough to see it. From this moment when you hit that dead zone, I want you to flip the script. Instead of saying it's not working, say this is the moment most people quit, and that's exactly why I won't. Because persistence is a filter. It removes the casual, the half-committed, the ones who only wanted it when it was easy. The world is full of people who almost made it. The ones you remember, they're the ones who stayed. So if you feel tired, if you feel stuck, if you feel like giving up, good. You've reached the place where most people fold. That means you're now in rare territory. Push one more time, take one more swing, make one more call. Because you might be closer than you'll ever realize, and you don't get that proof until you push past this exact moment. Say it with me. I will not stop here. I will not walk away when the gate is in sight. I will outlast this moment, and I will break through. If you're going to live by the law of never giving up, you must learn something most people never master: how to turn a setback into fuel. Because here's what's guaranteed. If you stay in the game long enough, life will hit you. It will knock you sideways. Your plans will unravel, your timeline will stretch, and your confidence will get tested until it feels paper thin. This is where average players lose the plot. They think a setback is a signal to stop. They treat a failed attempt as a verdict instead of feedback. But here's the truth: setbacks are the tuition you pay for success. Every single person who has achieved something lasting has paid it. The only difference? They didn't waste the lesson. Look at history. When Steve Jobs was fired from his own company in 1985, most of the world saw it as a career-ending humiliation. But Jobs didn't disappear. He built Next, he bought Pixar, and years later he returned to Apple with more vision and fire than before, launching the iPod, iPhone, and iPad. The very setback that could have ended him instead sharpened him into the leader who transformed entire industries. Or take Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, 27 years where the world could have forgotten him. But instead of letting bitterness rot his spirit, he used that time to refine his vision, strengthen his resolve, and build the inner discipline that would allow him to lead South Africa through its most fragile transition. His prison cell became a classroom, his setback became a springboard. Science supports this too. Psychologists call it adversarial growth, the phenomenon where facing significant challenges leads to greater resilience, deeper purpose, and improved problem solving. In other words, hardship, when handled correctly, makes you better. The challenge is that most people never stay in the discomfort long enough to see the growth. They exit at the first sting of pain. You need a different rule. When something goes wrong, when you lose the client, miss the target, or watch a plan collapse, your first question is not why me, but what is this trying to teach me? Because here's the reality. Every setback carries two packages. One is pain, the other is data. Most people only open the pain and throw away the data. Winners extract the data, then use it to make the next move stronger. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That wasn't empty optimism, it was reframing. He understood that every failed attempt was reducing the list of wrong answers, making the right answer inevitable. Without the patience to mine those lessons, there would be no light bulb. The same applies to you. That missed opportunity, it's showing you where your preparation was thin. That rejection, it's telling you how to sharpen your pitch or target the right audience. That delay, it's training your patience and adaptability, both of which are essential for staying in the game long enough to win. You need to start treating setbacks as proof of movement. If you're failing, it means you're in the arena. If you're being tested, it means you're building capacity. And the only way to lose for good is to quit before the lesson turns into progress. Here's a strategy. Every time you take a hit, write down 3 things. What actually happened? Strip out the drama, just the facts, what I can control next time, the piece of the outcome I can directly influence, how this can make me better, the skill, mindset, or process this forces me to upgrade. Do this every time, because most people will replay the pain until it becomes their identity. You're going to replay the lesson until it becomes your advantage, and don't mistake fuel for comfort. This isn't about pretending setbacks feel good. They don't. They sting, they frustrate, they exhaust you. But persistence is built in these exact moments, not when everything is going right, but when you decide to stay in motion despite the blow. Remember, the greatest wins often have the heaviest prelude of setbacks. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school varsity basketball team. Each of them could have taken those moments as final judgments. Instead, they treated them as starting points. And because they did, they rewrote not just their own stories but the expectations of everyone who came after. So when you get knocked down, and you will, don't waste the pain, convert it, let it feed you, let it harden your resolve, let it force you to get sharper, smarter, and stronger than you were yesterday. Say this to yourself when the next setback hits: this is not the end, this is the raw material for my next victory. I will mine it, I will use it, and I will keep moving forward, because the only way a setback becomes permanent is if you make it your stopping point, and if you've decided to never give up, then every setback is simply another brick in the road you're building, and you're not done until it's finished. Persistence is not just about showing up today, it's about showing up tomorrow, next month, next year, with the same fire in your chest when the applause has faded, when the novelty is gone, and when no one is watching to see if you still care. That's endurance, and without it, never give up is just a catchy phrase. Most people think they fail because they weren't capable enough. In reality, they fail because they weren't durable enough. They treated their dream like a sprint, all-out speed, maximum effort, and burned themselves out before they ever reached the real test. The truth is, anything worth building exists on a timeline longer than you expect. You think it's going to take 6 months, it takes 5 years. You think one big push will do it, instead you need 1,000 small ones. That's where endurance comes in, the ability to keep going at a pace you can sustain until the goal is yours. Look at the people who actually finish the climb. They are rarely the ones who started with the most talent, money, or connections. They are the ones who built a system for staying in the game long after their competitors ran out of steam. Endurance is not built in hype, it's built in habit. It's in your morning routine when no one's checking. It's in the hours you put in after a long day when most people have already given up for the night. It's in the discipline to do your work even when the motivation is gone, because motivation will vanish, and you can't afford to vanish with it. There's a principle endurance athletes know well. Pacing is power. If you start a marathon sprinting at full speed, you might lead for the first mile, but you'll collapse before the finish. The winners know how to conserve energy for the moments that matter most. They build consistency before intensity, and the same applies to your mission. The point is not to go all in for 30 days. The point is to still be moving with strength at day 300, day 1,000, day 3,000. Take the story of Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of KFC. He didn't even begin franchising his fried chicken until he was in his 60s. Before that, he'd been fired from jobs, failed in business, and spent years living in a small apartment, surviving on his savings. He knocked on more than 1,000 doors before someone agreed to take on his recipe. That kind of persistence is not fueled by hype, it's fueled by endurance. Science explains why most people can't last. In willpower research, psychologists describe something called ego depletion, the idea that self-control and discipline draw from a finite pool of mental energy each day. The mistake people make is trying to run on sheer willpower for too long. Endurance isn't about endless willpower, it's about systems that reduce the need for it. When you design your environment, routines, and schedule to support your mission, you conserve your mental energy for the moments you actually need it. That's how you stay in the fight for years without burning out. So if you want to never give up, you must train for the long game. Set a sustainable pace, push yourself, but not at the expense of tomorrow's energy. Protect your recovery. Rest is not weakness, it's fuel for the next push. Endurance is built in the cycle of effort and renewal. Automate what you can, free your mind from decision overload. Eat the same healthy breakfast, wear a simple work uniform, have a fixed morning ritual, save your mental bandwidth for the mission. Measure progress in years, not weeks. This removes the frustration of slow results and keeps you focused on the big picture. Remember, most people quit not because the goal was impossible, but because they couldn't imagine still working for it a year from now. Endurance is the antidote to that. When you commit to the long game, short-term wins and losses stop controlling your mood. A bad week is just a week. A rejection is just a pebble on the road, not the end of it. And here's the hidden advantage. Endurance makes you dangerous in a way most people will never be. When others realize you're still here after they've given up, they start to doubt themselves. Your consistency becomes its own form of intimidation. People begin to expect you to finish because they see you've outlasted everyone else. So tell yourself now, I'm not here for a season. I'm here until the job is done. I am unshakable. I am built for the long game, because persistence without endurance is a candle in the wind, bright for a moment, gone in the next. But persistence with endurance, that's a force that can wear down mountains. If you want to live by the law of never giving up, you must build more than stamina in your body. You must build immunity in your mind, because the most dangerous threats to persistence are not exhaustion, not even failure. The most dangerous threats are doubt and outside noise. Here's the reality. You can be moving strong toward your goal. You can have momentum in your favor, but one sharp comment, one discouraging voice, one piece of criticism at the wrong time can send you spiraling. Not because they're right, but because you gave their words access to your belief system. That's the leak you must seal permanently. Every person who has stayed in the fight long enough to win has learned to protect their mental space as fiercely as a soldier protects a stronghold. Henry Ford was told by multiple experts that the V8 engine could not be built in a single block. He instructed his engineers to keep working for 2 straight years until they proved him right. If Ford had let its impossible penetrate his mind, the work would have stopped in month 2. The innovation that changed the automotive industry would never have existed. The truth is, your mind is constantly under siege. Every day you are absorbing signals from the people you talk to, from the media you consume, from the environment you stand in. And if you do not filter those inputs, they will shape you. The human brain is suggestible. It doesn't just believe what is true, it believes what is repeated. If you're constantly surrounded by voices saying it's too hard, it's not worth it, you can't do that, you will eventually echo them unless you actively build immunity. So how do you do it? You apply the same principles as physical health. To resist disease, you strengthen your immune system. To resist doubt, you strengthen your mental defenses. Curate your circle. Remove chronic doubters and complainers from your immediate space. This isn't arrogance, it's preservation. Doubt is contagious. Surround yourself with builders, not critics. Control your inputs. Replace gossip, toxic news cycles, and endless scrolling with books, lectures, and conversations that fuel your mission. Reinforce your belief daily. Speak your goals aloud. Repeat affirmations, not for hype, but for reinforcement. Every repetition is a brick in the wall of your mental fortress. Document your wins. Keep a visible record of progress, even small victories. On the hard days, you'll need this proof to remind yourself that you are moving forward. Think about the greats. Serena Williams didn't become one of the most dominant athletes in history by listening to every critic who told her she was done. She trained with a mental filter so strong that she could walk onto a court after months away and still play like she had never left. Thomas Edison didn't call himself a failure after 10,000 failed prototypes. He had a mental immune system that interpreted each failure as progress data, nothing more. Without this immunity, you'll be pulled off your path by every storm of opinion. You'll start chasing other people's timelines, doubting your own progress, and questioning your mission. With it, you become untouchable. Criticism rolls off. Doubt dies before it reaches your core. Your belief stays intact no matter how hostile the environment becomes. And here's the thing, mental immunity doesn't mean you never hear negativity. It means you don't absorb it. Just as a strong immune system destroys a virus before it can spread, a strong mind rejects harmful ideas before they take root. You might hear you can't, but inside your system instantly translates it to watch me. From now on, I want you to treat your mental space as sacred ground. No unvetted voice enters. No casual negativity gets through the gate. This is not about being fragile, it's about being so committed to your purpose that you refuse to let unqualified opinions rewrite it. Say this now, I guard my mind like I guard my life. Doubt does not enter. Negativity does not take root. My mission is too important to be polluted, because if you don't build this immunity, you will spend more time fighting the noise than building the dream. But if you do, if you make your belief system untouchable, you'll find that persistence becomes easier, not because the road is smooth, but because your mind is unshaken. If you want to stay in the fight for years, if you want to carry the banner of never give up without burning out, you need to understand the power of small wins. Persistence is not sustained by massive victories every week. That's not how reality works. In the real world, breakthroughs are rare. Milestones take months or years to reach, and if you're waiting for those big moments to fuel you, you'll run out of motivation long before you cross the finish line. Small wins are the fuel for the long game. They are the proof that progress is happening, even when the scoreboard says otherwise. The problem is most people ignore them. They look at the mountain and feel overwhelmed because they can't climb it in one leap. forgetting that a mountain is climbed one deliberate step at a time. Psychologists have studied this. Harvard researcher Teresa Amabile calls it the progress principle, the idea that the single most powerful motivator in human performance is seeing progress in meaningful work, no matter how small. When you track and celebrate small wins, your brain releases dopamine, which boosts focus, resilience, and the drive to keep going. In other words, progress is addictive, but only if you notice it. Look at elite athletes. The runner doesn't just celebrate breaking a personal best time, they celebrate shaving off 0.1 seconds in training. The powerlifter doesn't just celebrate a championship, they celebrate every 2.5 kg grease on the bar. They know that without those incremental victories, the big ones never arrive. And here's the connection to never giving up. When you build the habit of noticing small wins, you create a steady stream of motivation that carries you through the plateaus. When the big result is still far away, those wins become your evidence that the work is paying off. They make quitting harder because you can see that you've already invested too much to stop. Here's how to apply this right now. Define your micro goals. Break your mission into steps you can measure in days, not months. If you're building a business, a micro goal might be sending 10 pitches a day. Track daily progress. Use a journal, app, or wall chart. Make it visible. Let yourself see the streak grow. The human brain hates breaking a visible chain of success. Celebrate without complacency. When you hit a micro goal, acknowledge it. A quick note in your log, a moment of gratitude. Then immediately set the next one. Run review weekly. Every 7 days, look back at your list of wins. This turns vague, "I'm working hard," into concrete, "I'm moving forward." Consider the story of Admiral William McRaven, who famously said in his University of Texas commencement speech, "If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed." Why? Because accomplishing a small task first thing in the morning builds momentum for the rest of the day. One small win leads to another, and soon you're stacking victories before most people have even started. The truth is, your persistence is built in these tiny daily commitments. Without them, you'll measure progress only by the final outcome, and when that outcome takes longer than expected, you'll be tempted to quit. With them, you'll see that progress is not an event, it's a trail of small wins leading to something huge. And here's the deeper magic: small wins compound. Like interest in a bank account, each small victory builds on the last. Over months and years, the effect is exponential. The person who tracks and celebrates their micro goals will have more momentum, more confidence, and more resilience than someone who only chases the finish line. From this moment forward, make a pact with yourself. No win is too small to count. No progress is invisible. You will notice, record, and honor every forward step, because that's how you build the evidence that quitting is not an option. Say it now: I measure progress every day. I stack wins. I build momentum on purpose. I will not stop because I can see I am moving forward. Because persistence is not just about refusing to give up, it's about giving yourself constant proof that staying in the fight is working. If you want to become the kind of person who truly never gives up, you must learn to love what most people run from: the grind. Not the highlight reel, not the applause, not the moment when the trophy is in your hands. I'm talking about the repetition, the monotony, the daily work that feels invisible to everyone but you. Most people chase excitement. They start strong because the idea is fresh, the vision is vivid, and the work feels new. But the grind strips all of that away. The grind is when the work becomes predictable, when the tasks are repetitive, when the fun has burned away, and all that's left is discipline. And this is where most people start to drift, because they confuse boring with pointless. But here's the truth: the grind is not the enemy, it's the forge. Every master in every field built their greatness in the grind. Michael Jordan didn't become the best basketball player in the world during NBA Finals games. He became the best during thousands of unseen practice hours, running drills until they were burned into muscle memory. The grind is where the skills that carry you under pressure are built. There's a reason Navy SEAL training is intentionally repetitive and grueling. It's not just about physical fitness, it's about conditioning the mind to operate under extreme repetition and discomfort without breaking. If you can show up fully on day 50 when it feels the same as day 1, you have an advantage over almost everyone else in the world. In psychology, this is tied to deliberate practice, the focused, repetitive rehearsal of skills with the goal of continuous improvement. Anders Ericsson's research shows that elite performers in music, sports, and business aren't simply talented. They've logged thousands of hours in targeted, repetitive practice. The grind is the path, so here's your choice. You can resent the grind and let it drain you, or you can reframe it and let it sharpen you. When you see the grind as proof that you're still in the fight, you stop craving constant novelty. You start finding pride in the fact that you're doing what most people are too impatient to do. Here's how to embrace it. Shift your definition of progress. In the grind, improvement is microscopic. It might be a 1% better performance today than yesterday. That's still progress. Build ritual around repetition. Create a consistent startup routine so your brain knows it's time to lock in. This reduces resistance to starting. Run just streaks, not just peaks. Count how many days you've shown up, not just how many big goals you've hit. This builds identity around consistency. Runja detach from constant results. Accept that the grind's value often shows up later, when the skills you built under repetition suddenly win you an opportunity. Think of Serena Williams hitting thousands of serves in an empty stadium. Think of Warren Buffett reading annual reports for hours every day, year after year, before making a single investment decision. These are not glamorous actions, they are not thrilling, but they are the foundation of their dominance. When you embrace the grind, you unlock something most people never discover: the ability to move forward without needing constant emotional spikes. You stop being a slave to motivation and start becoming a product of discipline. And once discipline takes over, quitting becomes nearly impossible, because showing up is no longer a decision, it's just who you are. Say this to yourself: I show up whether it's exciting or not. I work the plan whether it feels good or not. The grind does not break me, it builds me. Because in the end, the grind is not punishment. It's the place where you prove every single day that you are still in the game. And in a world full of people who quit when things stop being fun, that alone will make you unstoppable. If you're going to live by the rule never give up, you must master the voice inside your own head. Because here's the truth most people don't want to admit. It's not the critics outside who break them, it's the critic inside. That quiet voice that says, you're not moving fast enough, this might be pointless, you're not cut out for this. That voice is persistent, and if you don't learn how to control it, it will become the most persuasive reason you ever find to quit. Your self-talk is not just background noise, it's your brain's operating system. Neuroscience tells us that repeated thoughts actually rewire the brain. The more often you say something to yourself, the stronger the neural pathway becomes, until it's not just a thought anymore, it's a belief. And beliefs drive actions. This is why two people can face the same challenge, and one sees it as proof they should stop, while the other sees it as proof they're on the right track. The difference? The story they tell themselves in that moment. Look at the greats. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in history, wasn't just training his body, he was training his mind. His coach Bob Bowman taught him to visualize perfect races daily, down to every stroke, every breath, every wall turn. So when he stepped onto the block, the voice in his head wasn't guessing. It was repeating a script he had rehearsed thousands of times. That's self-talk in action, deliberate, directed and designed to reinforce success. Now compare that to the average person, who lets their internal dialogue run unchecked. They speak to themselves in ways they'd never speak to a friend. You're wasting your time, you're behind, this will never work. And then they wonder why their persistence fades. You need a rule. Your inner voice must become your ally, not your enemy. That doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means speaking in a way that keeps you moving forward, no matter what the scoreboard says. Here's how to take control. Audit your self-talk. For 1 week, pay attention to how you speak to yourself when you make a mistake, face a delay or feel stuck. Write it down. You can't change what you don't notice. Replace the language of finality with the language of progress. Stop saying I failed. Start saying I learned something today. Stop saying I can't. Start saying I can't yet. Install a battle phrase. A short, powerful sentence you repeat the moment doubt appears. Something like, I do not quit, I adjust and advance. This interrupts the spiral of negativity. Rehearse your wins. When you feel weak, recall moments when you overcame something you thought you couldn't. This reminds your mind that you have a history of surviving and moving forward. Muhammad Ali understood this better than most. He said, I am the greatest, long before he ever became champion. He wasn't bragging, he was programming. He was teaching his mind what to expect. And once the mind accepts something as certain, the body finds ways to make it real. You have that same ability, but it requires discipline. It requires catching yourself in the act of self-sabotage and replacing it with self-direction. Because persistence is fragile if the story in your head is working against you, but persistence becomes bulletproof when every word you feed yourself pushes you forward. From now on, your self-talk must pass one test. Does this make me more likely to keep going? If the answer is no, it doesn't get airtime. Say this to yourself right now. My voice is my weapon. I speak progress, not defeat. I command my mind to move forward. Because the day you master the conversation in your head is the day you remove the most common reason people give up. And that's when never give up stops being a slogan and becomes your default mode of operation. If you are truly committed to never giving up, you must learn the difference between quitting the mission and changing the method. Too many people confuse the two. They think that if their original plan doesn't work, the dream is dead. But the reality is this: plans are disposable, the mission is not. Thomas Edison didn't just have one blueprint for the light bulb, he had thousands. Each failure wasn't an ending, it was an instruction to try again in a different way. When you commit to the outcome, you give yourself permission to change everything except the decision to finish. This is where most people fail without realizing it. They tie their identity to a single strategy. When that strategy fails, they feel like they have failed. Instead of adapting, they abandon the whole pursuit. But here's the truth: the most successful people you've ever heard of are masters of adaptation. Take Netflix. In 1997, it was a DVD rental service mailing discs in red envelopes. 10 years later, as the world shifted to streaming, they pivoted their entire model. If they had clung to the original plan out of pride, they would be a relic of the past. Instead, they adapted without quitting and became a global leader. The same applies to individuals. J.K. Rowling's original plan was to be a teacher. That was her safe path, but when life collapsed around her, she adapted. She leaned into her writing, using every rejection letter as a signal to adjust her approach, until her work became one of the best-selling book series in history. In military strategy, there's a concept called flexible persistence, the ability to pursue an objective relentlessly while changing tactics as conditions shift. Armies that can't adapt lose wars, no matter how much courage they have. The same principle applies to you. Here's how to adapt without quitting. Separate the goal from the method. Write your mission in ink, your tactics in pencil. The mission doesn't change. The tactics can change daily if needed. Read the data, not your emotions. A bad week doesn't mean the goal is wrong. It means the method needs refinement. Remove your ego from the process. Learn from those ahead of you. Find models who achieved what you want. Study how they navigated failures and look for patterns you can borrow. Stay mission-focused under pressure. When something breaks, your first question is not, should I quit, but how can I adjust and keep moving? Think of it like a river. If you block a river with rocks, it doesn't stop flowing. It finds another path around the obstacle. It cuts a new channel if it must. That's adaptation without quitting. Too many people build their dreams like a brittle glass statue, beautiful but fragile. One hit, and it's gone. You need to build yours like steel, able to bend without breaking, able to take hits without losing form. And here's the hidden benefit: adaptation builds resilience faster than anything else. Every time you adjust and keep going, you prove to yourself that you can survive disruption. You teach your subconscious that obstacles are not dead ends, they're detours. And once your mind accepts that, quitting stops being an option entirely. Say this to yourself: my mission is permanent, my methods are flexible, I adjust, adapt, and advance. Because never giving up doesn't mean you bulldoze forward in the exact same way forever. It means you refuse to stop moving forward, no matter how many times you have to change the path to get there. If you want to never give up, you must understand one of the most powerful forces in human behavior: momentum. Momentum is the quiet multiplier that turns small actions into unstoppable motion. And just as it works for you, it can work against you. The problem is that most people underestimate how momentum controls their persistence. They think giving up is one big decision, but in reality, quitting is usually the result of lost momentum. You miss one day, then two, then a week, and soon the effort feels heavier than starting from scratch. The truth is this: resistance, that invisible force that pushes you to procrastinate, hesitate, or stop, is strongest when you are standing still. But once you're in motion, resistance weakens. That's why the hardest step is the first one, and the most dangerous step is the one you don't take. Look at professional athletes. They have off-seasons, but they don't go months without touching their sport. Why? Because they know the cost of losing momentum. Even small, consistent training keeps them ready to ramp up when the season starts again. They protect their momentum like it's part of their paycheck, because it is. NASA engineers understand this too. The most energy in any rocket launch is spent in the first minutes, breaking free of Earth's gravity. After that, the ship uses far less fuel to maintain speed. The same is true in your mission. Getting started and staying consistent costs far more energy than maintaining motion. This is why the law of never giving up is easier to keep when you stop letting yourself lose speed. Here's how to make momentum your ally. Lower the activation energy. Make starting so easy that you can't talk yourself out of it. If your goal is to work out, keep your shoes by the door. If it's writing, keep your document open. Remove the friction. Set non-negotiable minimums. On bad days, you don't have to do everything, but you do something. 5 push-ups, 1 page written, 1 phone call. This keeps the chain unbroken. Stack actions. Attach a new habit to an existing one. If you already make coffee every morning, use that moment to review your goals for the day. Momentum loves routines. Track your streak. Whether on paper or an app, make your progress visible. Humans hate breaking a streak. Use that to your advantage. History shows that those who win are not always the ones with the most explosive start. They're the ones who keep stacking small actions until the work becomes part of their identity. Jerry Seinfeld's "don't break the chain" method is a perfect example. He committed to writing jokes every day, marking each day on a calendar. Over time, the desire to keep the streak alive became stronger than the temptation to skip a day. The result? Decades of consistent output that made him one of the most successful comedians of all time. The danger is letting the opposite happen, letting negative momentum take over. Skipping one workout makes the second one easier to skip. Missing one sales call makes a week of missed calls feel inevitable. You must treat this like a fire. It's easier to keep it burning than to restart it from cold ash. From this moment forward, your standard is simple. Never stop completely. Rest if you must, slow down if you must, but never let the motion die. Even a crawl keeps you in the game, and from a crawl it's much easier to stand again. Say this now: I protect my momentum. I do not stop cold. I move every day, no matter how small the step. Because when you build unstoppable momentum, quitting becomes unnatural, and staying in the fight becomes your default. If you want to never give up, you must stop treating persistence as something you do and start treating it as something you are. Because here's the truth: actions follow identity. When you see yourself as the kind of person who always finishes, quitting is no longer an option you debate. It's simply not part of your operating system. Most people reverse this. They wait for proof before they claim the identity. They think, once I succeed, then I'll see myself as persistent. But that's backwards. The most resilient people in history adopted the identity before they had the evidence. And that identity is what carried them through the parts where evidence was nowhere in sight. Muhammad Ali didn't wait until he was the heavyweight champion to call himself the greatest. He declared it years earlier, and then built a career that matched the claim. That wasn't arrogance, it was identity setting. He was giving his subconscious a role to live up to. When you declare who you are, your brain works to align your actions with that declaration. Psychologists call this self-consistency theory, the principle that humans are driven to behave in ways that match their self-image. If you see yourself as a finisher, it will actually feel wrong to leave something undone. If you see yourself as a quitter, it will feel natural to walk away when things get hard. Think about it. The runner who identifies as a disciplined athlete doesn't negotiate with themselves about whether to train. Training is what they do because it's who they are. The entrepreneur who identifies as a problem solver doesn't crumble at setbacks, they see them as part of the job description. If you want to live never give up as a lifestyle, you must lock in an identity that matches it. Here's how. Choose your identity statement, a short, definitive sentence about who you are in this context. Example: I am the person who finishes what I start. Write it down. Repeat it daily, not as a wish but as a fact. You are programming your subconscious to accept it as law. Right or plead law. Match your smallest actions to it. If you say you are a finisher, finish the small things, the email, the workout, the conversation. You're proving your identity in micro ways. Right or plead, right or plead, right or plead law. Shall plead, right or plead, right or plead law. One of folk phone mostrupt, one of folk phone mostrupt como. When you feel tempted to walk away early, remember, that's not who you are anymore. This is the exact method James Clear outlines in Atomic Habits. You change not by chasing outcomes, but by becoming the type of person who produces those outcomes naturally. Persistence, when tied to identity, becomes effortless. You don't have to motivate yourself into it every time. You simply act in alignment with who you already believe you are. Consider Abraham Lincoln. He didn't see himself as a politician trying to win an election. He saw himself as a servant of a cause greater than himself. That identity carried him through countless electoral defeats, public criticism, and the weight of a divided nation, because quitting would have been a violation of who he believed he was. Here's the trap you must avoid: letting your past identity dictate your future persistence. If you've been someone who gives up in the past, you may have internalized that as part of who you are. But identity is not fixed, it's chosen. And the moment you decide to write a new one, your actions can begin to reflect it. From this moment forward, I want you to speak your persistence into your identity. Say, I am the person who sees things through. I do not quit. Finishing is who I am. Because when persistence becomes part of your identity, it stops being an act of willpower and starts being your nature. And when it's your nature, never giving up is no longer a decision you have to make. It's simply the only way you know how to live. Even the most relentless people, the champions, the founders, the pioneers, have moments where quitting feels easier than continuing. Don't let the highlight reels fool you. Persistence is not the absence of doubt. It's the ability to recover quickly when doubt spikes and quitting starts to look like relief. The truth is, Never giving up doesn't mean you'll never want to give up. It means you've built the tools to survive those moments and come out stronger. Let's be honest, there will be days when your progress feels invisible, your energy is gone, and the thought of continuing feels like dragging a weight uphill in the dark. There will be moments when the voice in your head whispers, "What's the point?" If you've ever been there, you're not broken, you're human. But here's where you separate yourself from the majority. You have a plan for these moments so they don't become permanent decisions. Look at the greats. Michael Jordan walked away from basketball in 1993, worn down by grief and fatigue. But that wasn't the end. He reset, recovered, and came back to lead the Chicago Bulls to 3 more championships. That's recovery from a near-quitting moment. Howard Schultz, the man who built Starbucks into a global brand, almost shut the company down in the early years after a failed expansion drained resources. Instead, he used that low point to reevaluate the model, rally investors, and push forward. Here's the pattern. The near-quitting moment is often a crossroads, and the people who win have a system for what to do when they arrive there. Here's yours. Pause, don't stop. When the urge to quit hits, take a break before you make a decision. Fatigue can distort reality. A single night's sleep, a walk outside, or a workout can give you enough clarity to keep going. Return to your why. Keep your purpose written down and visible. In a low moment, read it aloud. Remind yourself why you started and why quitting would cost you more than continuing. Review your progress record. Have a list, journal, or visual tracker of what you've already achieved. In a quitting moment, looking at how far you've come can reframe how far you have left. Reach out to your inner circle. The right voices, mentors, allies, accountability partners can help you see past the temporary emotions of exhaustion or doubt. There's a psychological reason this works. In cognitive behavioral therapy, there's a concept called thought distancing, separating yourself from the intensity of the current emotion so you can see the bigger picture. By stepping back, you remember that the urge to quit is temporary, but the cost of quitting is permanent. And here's the truth you must burn into your mind. A near-quitting moment is not a failure, it's a training ground. Every time you face one and choose to keep going, you increase your resistance to the next one. You harden your mental armor. You prove to yourself that you can survive the urge to walk away. Even elite soldiers face this. In US Navy SEAL training, they have a brass bell you can ring to quit at any time. It's right there, tempting them when the pain is high. The ones who make it through aren't the ones who never think about ringing it, they're the ones who stare at it and keep moving anyway. So when you find yourself at the edge, staring at your own bell, remember, you don't have to quit just because your feelings suggest it. You can pause, breathe, recover, and return with more clarity and commitment than before. Say this now: when the urge to quit comes, I pause, I recover, I return stronger, I finish what I start. Because the urge to quit is temporary, but the pride of not giving in lasts for the rest of your life. If you truly commit to never giving up, you gain an advantage most people never even try to use: time. Because here's the secret. In every field, most people don't lose because they were beaten. They lose because they left. They got tired, they got distracted, they got impatient. They took themselves out of the race long before it was over. And that's where you win. Not just by being better, but by being the one still standing when everyone else has stepped aside. Look at the numbers. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 20% of new businesses fail in their first year. By the 5-year mark, roughly half are gone. And by the 10-year mark, only about 30% remain. That means if you simply refuse to quit for a decade, you've already beaten 70% of your competition without even talking about talent. That's the power of endurance over time. History is full of examples. Walt Disney went bankrupt twice before his studio found lasting success. If he had stopped after the second collapse, there would be no Disney empire. Colonel Harlan Sanders, founder of KFC, didn't start franchising his chicken recipe until his 60s. He heard no over 1,000 times before the first yes. But because he outlasted the people who told him to give up, his name is now global. Here's the truth: competition naturally thins over time. The loudest starters burn out, the fastest starters crash, the hype fades, and the field gets quieter and emptier until the only people left are the ones too stubborn to leave. That's when opportunities start falling to you, not because you were the first choice, but because you were still in position when the door opened. This is why persistence is a weapon. It's not just about enduring hardship, it's about strategically surviving longer than the people who want the same thing you do. If you can keep moving when they stop, you win by default. Here's how to make time your ally. Schwann's think in decades, not days. If you expect instant results, you'll quit when they don't come. Commit to a horizon so far ahead that short-term setbacks feel irrelevant. Schwann, stay visible. Keep showing up, producing, posting, networking. The longer you're in the game, the more chances you have to be seen at the right time. Focus on durability over speed. It's better to move steadily for 10 years than to sprint for 10 months and collapse. Mark your survival milestones. Each year you stay in, acknowledge it. That's another layer of advantage over the people who dropped out. Think of persistence like erosion. A river doesn't carve a canyon in a week, it carves it over centuries. By showing up every single day without fail, your competition is the rock, you are the water, and over time, water always wins. This is why never giving up is more than personal pride. It's a business strategy, a creative advantage, and a leadership edge. People start to notice the one who refuses to leave. They trust your stability, they invest in your consistency, they bet on you because you've proven you won't disappear when it gets hard. Say this now, I will outlast, I will still be here when others have gone. My persistence will win where speed could not. Because time is a test most will fail. But if you commit to staying in the game longer than anyone else, you've heard the stories, you've seen the patterns. From part 1 to now, every lesson has pointed to one truth. Your ability to never give up is the foundation for everything you will ever achieve. Not talent alone, not luck alone, not connections alone. Persistence is the multiplier that turns all of those into something that lasts. Now in this final part, it's time to fuse it all together into one standard, one law, one command you will carry into every single day of your life. Here's what you need to understand. The world does not reward potential, it rewards proof. And proof comes from staying in the fight long enough for your results to be undeniable. Most people will never see their own breakthrough because they surrendered at the edge of it. They let tiredness, doubt, or impatience talk them out of the next step, the one that would have changed everything. That cannot be you. Not after everything you've learned here. You've armed yourself with strategies to survive doubt, boredom, failure, and fatigue. You've built an identity that rejects quitting. You've made peace with the grind. You've learned to adapt, to protect your momentum, and to turn time into an ally. Now your only job is to live it. Not once, not for a season, every single day until the mission is complete. From this day forward, your default setting is simple: keep moving. It doesn't matter if it's an inch or a mile. It doesn't matter if it's perfect or messy. The size of the step is irrelevant. The act of stepping is everything, because persistence is not about how fast you move, it's about not stopping. And when you refuse to stop, you become the kind of person the world cannot ignore. Here is your final declaration: I do not quit. I do not surrender. My mission is permanent. My methods may change, my pace may change, but my movement never stops. I finish what I start, I outlast, I endure. I win because I remain. Say it again until it's not a sentence but a part of your DNA. And when the world tests you, because it will, you will not crumble. You will remember every part of this journey. You will remember that you've already prepared for doubt, for setbacks, for failure, for boredom, for exhaustion. You will remember that this is the path you chose, and no force on earth has the power to make you walk away from it. You will stand in that moment, look resistance in the eye, and take the next step. Not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, but because never giving up is no longer something you say, it's who you are. This is the final command. Stay in the fight. Every small expense, every moment of lack, if you're constantly noticing what's missing, you're reinforcing scarcity. The truth is, wealthy people don't just have more money, they carry a different mindset. Imagine walking through life with quiet confidence, no more desperation, no more playing small, just a deep belief in abundance. In this video, I'll teach you how to train your mind to act as if you're already rich, so you naturally attract opportunities, success, and wealth, because once you shift your identity, your reality starts to match it, and the world responds in kind. 1. The power of perception and in-depth exploration. In today's world, wealth is often reduced to tangible metrics: money in the bank, cars, homes, and other material possessions. However, true wealth goes beyond what you own. It resides in how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you. The way you think about your potential, your success, and your value shapes your reality. The most important step in attracting wealth is to see yourself as abundant, even before any material evidence is present. This mental shift can be transformative and set the foundation for long-term success. Perception plays a critical yet often overlooked role in wealth creation. People tend to associate being rich with flashy possessions or high-status symbols, but true wealth lies in an individual's mindset and confidence. Wealthy people don't simply display material wealth, they embody an aura of success that extends into their daily interactions. They walk with confidence, and that confidence attracts opportunities and relationships that further fuel their success. Your internal perception of yourself dictates how you present yourself to the world. If you see yourself as abundant, others will recognize you as such. This is the law of attraction at play. You attract what you believe you deserve. The way you carry yourself, even when your bank account doesn't match your aspirations, will influence how people treat you. Those around you may offer opportunities or guidance that propel you toward your goals. The concept of the law of attraction, popularized by The Secret, suggests that we attract what we focus on. But this principle is rooted in psychological science. Our beliefs and perceptions shape our behaviors, and behaviors ultimately shape our outcomes. If you constantly view yourself as someone who struggles or lacks, your actions will align with that belief. You might hesitate to take risks, second-guess decisions, or miss opportunities because of fear or doubt. Conversely, perceiving yourself as abundant and successful, even before you see tangible results, instills confidence. This confidence drives you to take bolder actions that align with your aspirations, eventually manifesting your desired reality. This mindset doesn't guarantee instant wealth, but it positions you to see opportunities you might have missed otherwise. A growth mindset backed by perception encourages forward momentum, improving the chances of success in career and finance. Confidence is an essential component of perception. It's not just about feeling good about your abilities, it's about recognizing your inherent worth in the grand scheme of things. Confidence is the internal belief that you deserve success and that you are capable of creating value. This belief is magnetic, drawing people, opportunities, and success toward you. Confidence doesn't mean pretending to be something you're not. It means aligning with the truth of your potential. Research from the University of Melbourne shows that individuals with high self-confidence tend to perform better in negotiations, social settings, and business dealings. Confidence in yourself correlates directly with external success. When you carry this internal belief, people naturally treat you with more respect and are more likely to invest in you, whether through business partnerships or personal connections. Wealth is not just about financial assets. It encompasses health, relationships, skills, and mindset. Even without millions in the bank, a person rich in knowledge, connections, and opportunities can create wealth in various forms. For instance, two people may have the same financial resources, but one views wealth as a means for growth, while the other hoards it or uses it for status. The former will likely continue to evolve, whereas the latter may stagnate. When you act as though you are already rich, you adopt the lifestyle of someone successful. This mindset shapes your behavior, influencing the decisions you make and how you interact with others. Over time, this shift in perception turns into tangible results. True wealth is a reflection of your internal state, not merely your external circumstances. Perception doesn't just affect how others see you, it affects how you see the world. If you view your life through a lens of abundance, setbacks become challenges to overcome, not permanent obstacles. This mental shift is empowering as it enables you to approach difficulties with a growth mindset. On the flip side, if you perceive yourself as someone who's always struggling, your emotional state becomes clouded by scarcity. You may feel victimized by circumstances, draining your energy and resilience. When challenges arise, a mindset of abundance helps you see them as stepping stones. You build resilience, as setbacks no longer define your potential, but rather serve as lessons to learn from. This shift from a mindset of lack to one of abundance is key to cultivating the mental toughness required to thrive in adversity. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, provides a scientific foundation for the power of perception. Studies show that positive thinking and visualization can enhance cognitive functions, improve problem-solving abilities, and foster creativity. These cognitive abilities are essential for success. When you repeatedly perceive yourself as abundant and capable, your brain begins to form neural pathways that support those beliefs. Over time, these pathways become stronger, making it easier for you to act confidently and think strategically. As your brain rewires itself to match your perception, you become more adept at creating opportunities and navigating challenges. Perception doesn't only impact you, it influences those around you as well. When you perceive yourself as wealthy, this perception spreads, your energy becomes contagious. People begin to see you as someone capable and successful, which can open doors to valuable connections and collaborations. The ripple effect of your perceived abundance creates a positive feedback loop that attracts even more opportunities and success. Furthermore, projecting abundance can inspire others to see their own potential. This shared energy boosts collective growth, as people become more confident in their abilities, and they in turn contribute to your success. As you become more successful, you also lift others around you, creating a community of like-minded individuals who can support and collaborate with you. 2. Confidence breeds opportunities. Confidence has an incredible power to shape our interactions and outcomes in life. When you walk into a room, whether it's a casual gathering or a professional setting, the way you carry yourself speaks volumes before you even say a word. Imagine yourself at a dinner party where a conversation is unfolding. There's someone in the group who stands out, not because they're loud or dominating the conversation, but because their words are delivered with confidence. They don't need to boast about their achievements. Their self-assurance is evident in the way they speak, the value they provide, and the ease with which they carry themselves. This is the type of presence that attracts opportunities. When you act as if you are already rich, not just financially, but rich in potential, knowledge, and self-belief, you begin to embody the same self-assurance. You don't need to flaunt anything or seek validation from others. Your energy and demeanor communicate success in a way that naturally draws people in. Confidence makes you magnetic. It signals to others that you are someone worth paying attention to, someone who has something valuable to offer. Opportunities don't just come because you're trying to impress or because you're putting yourself out there in an exaggerated way. When you exude genuine confidence, the opportunities appear because people recognize your worth without you needing to sell it. The best business deals, collaborations, and even friendships often come from the unspoken things we communicate. Think about it. People are more likely to want to partner with you, learn from you, or invest in you if they believe you have something of value to offer, not just financially but intellectually and emotionally as well. This is where the power of acting as if you're already rich becomes evident. It's not about waiting for a future financial situation to define who you are. It's about owning your worth and acting in alignment with that perception, regardless of where you stand financially. The way you present yourself in social or professional situations is just as important, if not more, than the tangible assets you possess. Wealth isn't only material, it's a mindset, an attitude that informs how you approach life. When you carry yourself with confidence, people see that and recognize that you're someone who knows what they're doing, someone who is worth engaging with. Research has shown that confidence can actually affect how we are perceived by others and how we perform in different situations. For instance, a study from the Journal of Applied Psychology found that confident individuals were more likely to be hired and promoted because their assertiveness and self-assuredness signaled leadership qualities. Confidence helps in all areas of life, from personal relationships to career growth. It has the power to attract opportunities that you may not have even anticipated. People with confidence can often convince others to invest in their ideas, their projects, or their future because they believe in themselves first. This belief is contagious. It makes others feel like they're betting on a winning horse. Conversely, those who lack confidence often struggle to gain trust or interest because they project doubt or uncertainty. The difference is subtle but significant. Confidence doesn't need to scream for attention. It naturally draws others in because it conveys a sense of reliability and assurance that makes people comfortable following your lead. When you act as if you're already rich in confidence, the opportunities will start to come to you not because you're ready to achieve something big, but feel the weight of uncertainty holding you back. The closer you get to success, the more the pressure builds, and it's easy to start second-guessing yourself. What if the real key to unlocking your potential isn't waiting for the perfect moment, but embracing the challenges that come with the final stretch? In this video, you'll learn how to harness the pressure, face your fears head-on, and push through those last hurdles with unshakable confidence. It's not about having everything figured out, it's about taking bold action when it matters most. Let's dive in and discover how to turn your final stretch into a powerful leap toward achieving everything you've worked for. 1. The final stretch. When you've been working toward a goal for an extended period, the last stretch can often feel the most challenging. You've already put in the time, effort, and dedication, and everything you've done so far seems to have brought you to this pivotal moment. But as the finish line approaches, a strange and often unsettling feeling can arise. It's a mix of doubt, fear, and anxiety. The closer you get to success, the more you may start to question yourself. Is this the right path? Will you truly succeed? What if something goes wrong at the last moment? These feelings are common, and they're often a sign that you're on the verge of achieving something monumental. This moment just before the breakthrough is critical. It is when your mental resilience will be tested the most. It is easy to feel overwhelmed and consider giving up, but it is precisely at this point that your mindset and preparation matter most. These final stages separate those who succeed from those who falter. In times like these, success is not about raw effort alone, it is about mental toughness, preparation, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. The sense of pressure that builds as you near your goal is not something to avoid or fear. It's a natural response, and it's actually an indication that you're on the right track. When you feel the weight of what's at stake, it's a reminder that the work you've done up until now is about to come to fruition. The effort you've invested is beginning to pay off. Pressure often gets a bad reputation, but in reality it can be the force that propels you forward. It serves as a catalyst, challenging you to dig deeper and push harder. This is not a sign of impending failure, but of transformation and accomplishment. At this stage, many people fall victim to self-doubt. They question whether they are truly capable of achieving their goal or whether they've made enough progress. This is where the most successful individuals distinguish themselves. They don't shy away from these emotions. Instead, they recognize them as part of the process. They understand that this pressure, this fear, is a necessary component of growth. It is what makes the achievement meaningful. This is the moment when every ounce of preparation, every lesson learned along the way comes into play. The successful don't let fear make the decision for them. Instead, they let the work they've put in and the strength they've built lead them through the final stretch. Preparation is not just about the technical aspects of what you've been working on. It's about the mental conditioning that has gotten you here. Each challenge you've faced, each hurdle you've overcome has been a step toward building the resilience needed for this final push. It's easy to underestimate how much inner strength is developed during periods of struggle. Doubt and fear are part of the process, but they don't define it. They only mark the threshold between where you've been and where you're going. They serve as reminders that what lies ahead is significant, and the stakes are high because the rewards are just as profound. As the pressure intensifies, the instinct to retreat may seem like the easier option. This is when it's essential to remember that the hardest part often comes just before the breakthrough. It's the final test of your dedication. It's not the moment to pull back or retreat into comfort. It's the moment to lean into the discomfort and push forward. Every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the result you've been striving for. The work you've done in silence, the effort no one saw, has prepared you for this moment. In these final stages, the most successful people stay focused on the goal. They stay anchored to their purpose. They are able to withstand the pressure and let it fuel their determination instead of letting it paralyze them. They recognize that achieving something big isn't about avoiding challenges or discomfort, but about facing them head-on with confidence and clarity. They know that success is not about having a perfect journey. It's about staying true to the path, no matter how difficult it may seem at times. The mental and emotional fortitude you have developed up until this point is what will carry you through the last few hurdles. You may have moments of doubt and you may question whether you have what it takes, but those doubts are not signs of failure. They are simply the last hurdles before you break through to success. In those moments, remind yourself of how far you've come. All the setbacks, all the obstacles, and all the work have brought you here. Every experience, every lesson learned has equipped you for this final stretch. You've trained for this, you've built your resilience, you've put in the time. Now it's time to stay steady, to trust in your ability, and to keep moving forward. It's in these final moments, when everything seems to hang in the balance, that your ability to stay calm, focused, and determined will ultimately determine the outcome. The fear and pressure you feel are just the final tests before success. Stay committed to the process, trust your preparation, and embrace the discomfort. You are almost there, and everything you've been working toward is about to fall into place. As you approach the final stretch, remember that the most important part of the journey is not the destination, it's the resilience, determination, and clarity that you develop along the way. The success you've been working toward is not just about achieving a goal, it's about the person you become in the process. And when you reach that finish line, you'll realize that everything you've gone through, every challenge faced, and every ounce of effort put forth was not just about reaching the goal, It was about becoming the person capable of achieving it. When you're about to achieve something big, it's not just the goal that matters, it's how you handle the final stretch. And that's when the real growth happens. 2. Embrace the fear. Fear is an inevitable part of the journey towards success. It's often viewed as an obstacle, something that holds us back and limits our potential. However, the reality is much different. Fear in its various forms, whether it's fear of failure, fear of success, or fear of change, serves a fundamental purpose in personal growth. The key to unlocking the power of fear is not to try to eliminate it or ignore it, but to embrace it. Fear can be the signal that you are stepping into a new phase, a phase of growth and transformation. This is the moment when you're moving beyond your comfort zone and into the unknown, where true development occurs. When you feel fear begin to rise within you, it's a clear indication that you are on the verge of something significant. The discomfort that fear brings is not a sign that you are unprepared, but rather that you are on the right path. It's easy to think that fear means you aren't ready for the challenge, but in reality, it often means the opposite. Fear is a natural response to stepping into uncharted territory, and stepping into uncharted territory is exactly where progress happens. Without fear, there is no challenge. Without challenge, there is no growth. Fear is a natural physiological response that has been hardwired into us for survival. Our brains are designed to protect us from danger, and this protective instinct triggers fear when we face something unfamiliar or uncertain. But in the context of personal and professional growth, fear doesn't signal danger, it signals potential. It's a sign that you are about to push the boundaries of what you thought was possible for yourself. When you fear something, it usually means you're about to do something important, something that could lead to meaningful change in your life. Think of all the great achievements in history, from the invention of the light bulb to groundbreaking scientific discoveries. These achievements were born from individuals who faced immense fear, uncertainty, and doubt, yet they chose to move forward despite these feelings. Fear didn't hold them back, it propelled them forward. It drove them to find new solutions, to think differently, and to keep moving when everything seemed uncertain. The fear they felt didn't deter them, it pushed them to be better, to be braver, and to keep pushing toward their goals. The fear of failure is one of the most powerful types of fear, and it can be crippling if not understood. It often leads to procrastination, self-doubt, and the temptation to give up before even trying. However, fear of failure doesn't mean failure is imminent. In fact, it often means you're on the verge of success. It's the discomfort of the unknown that triggers this fear. The key to overcoming this fear is to reframe it. Rather than viewing failure as something to avoid at all costs, start seeing it as a necessary part of the learning process. Every successful person has failed, often repeatedly, but they didn't let it define them. They used their failures as lessons, as stepping stones toward their ultimate success. The fear of success can be just as paralyzing. It might seem counterintuitive, but many people fear the very success they're working toward. Success can bring about a range of changes, higher expectations, more responsibility, a change in lifestyle, and the fear of those changes can stop people from reaching their potential. But this fear, like the fear of failure, isn't something to run from. It's a signal that you are on the edge of a breakthrough, that you are about to step into a new version of yourself, one that is more capable, more influential, and more aligned with your true potential. Fear of change is another form of resistance that can hold you back. Change is inevitable, and it's a part of every journey toward success. Yet many people resist change because it forces them to step into the unknown. We all have our comfort zones, and change can make us feel vulnerable, but vulnerability is where real growth happens. It's where innovation, transformation, and creativity are born. Embracing the fear of change is essential to moving forward. If you constantly avoid change, you're also avoiding growth. Change is not something to be feared, it's something to embrace. It's a sign that you're evolving, and that's a good thing. Rather than letting fear control you, you can choose to use it as fuel. Fear is energy, it's your body and mind preparing you for something significant. Instead of running from it or letting it paralyze you, use it to propel yourself forward. The fear you feel is not there to stop you, it's there to push you, to make you stronger, and to help you break through the barriers you've set for yourself. It's a reminder that you're on the verge of something big. Instead of resisting fear, recognize it as a natural part of the process. Sit with it, accept it, and then use it as motivation to move forward. You are on the verge of breaking through, and fear is the catalyst that will get you there. The fear you feel when approaching something big can be transformed into determination. It becomes the energy you need to take the next step, to do what needs to be done, and to keep going even when things feel uncertain. Fear is a natural part of pushing your limits, and the greatest achievers in history didn't shy away from fear, they embraced it. They understood that without fear, there would be no challenge, and without challenge, there would be no real growth. Fear is not something to fear, it's a signal that you're about to do something extraordinary. As you move closer to achieving something big, the fear you experience is a sign that you're pushing beyond your limits, breaking out of your comfort zone, and getting closer to your true potential. Embrace the fear, don't let it stop you.
let it fuel your determination, and use it as the energy you need to keep moving forward. Fear is not a roadblock, it's a signpost that you're on the right path. Keep moving through it, and let it guide you to success. 3. The danger of complacency. When you're nearing the completion of a major goal, there's a subtle but dangerous risk that comes with being so close to success. Complacency. The feeling that you've already put in the work, that the outcome is in sight, and that it's time to ease up. It's a natural human response, but it's also one that can undermine all of the progress you've made up until this point. When success feels imminent, it's easy to relax, to coast, or to celebrate prematurely, but this is when you need to dig the deepest. The final stretch, when the finish line is within reach, is often the hardest part of the journey. One of the most insidious aspects of complacency is the illusion it creates. As you get closer to your goal, you may feel like the hard work is done, and that the outcome is already determined. This mindset makes sense on the surface. After all, you've been working tirelessly, overcoming obstacles, and pushing yourself to get to this point. It seems reasonable to think that everything should fall into place now, but this illusion of certainty can be dangerous. Complacency thrives in the belief that success is guaranteed, but this is where things can go wrong. Success is never guaranteed, and the moment you stop giving your best is the moment you risk losing everything you've worked for. Complacency often creeps in because of the human tendency to assume that things will work out because they've worked so far. But the truth is, most people fail, not because they don't have the capability to succeed, but because they ease up just when they're so close to the finish line. This phenomenon isn't limited to personal achievement. It's seen in every field, from business to sports to creative endeavors. In fact, research has shown that people are often more likely to experience a drop in performance just as they near a goal. A 2016 study published in Psychological Science demonstrated that people's motivation often decreases as they approach a goal, a phenomenon called the goal gradient effect. When nearing the finish line, people sometimes feel that they've done enough, that the outcome is close enough to be inevitable, which can lead to the decline in effort that causes them to stumble at the final hurdle. It's important to recognize that complacency isn't always about laziness or being overly confident. Often it comes from exhaustion, burnout, or the desire to enjoy a brief sense of accomplishment. You've been working hard for so long, and as the end approaches, it can feel like you deserve a break. While it's important to take care of your well-being and rest when necessary, taking a break too early, before you've reached your goal, can be just as harmful as not resting at all. It's like running a marathon and stopping just before the finish line because you believe the race is already won. You've done most of the work, but you're still a step away from crossing the line. The last part of the race is just as important as the first, if not more so. It's also crucial to understand that complacency comes from a mindset of certainty. When you believe that success is inevitable, you start to think that the finish line is within arm's reach, and it no longer feels like a challenge. This perception is dangerous because the moment you stop giving 100% effort is the moment your progress begins to stall. Success isn't a result of how hard you worked up until a certain point, it's a culmination of continuous, focused effort until the very end. This is why the final stretch requires more focus and dedication than any other part of the journey. Every athlete knows that the hardest part of a race is often the last lap. The fatigue sets in, the body aches, and the desire to slow down grows stronger, but it's in that moment when you're tired and when the finish line is almost in sight that your true strength is tested. It's the same in business, in creative work, in personal development. You may have put in months or years of effort, but it's in these final moments where your perseverance and mindset will determine whether you succeed or not. The most successful people in history aren't the ones who coasted when they got close to their goals. They're the ones who doubled down on their efforts when the finish line was in sight. They knew that the end wasn't the time to rest, it was the time to push harder, stay focused, and give their all until the very last moment. They understood that complacency is not just a risk, it's the most dangerous risk of all, because it leads to the collapse of everything you've worked for. Complacency means stopping before you've truly reached your goal. In professional sports, this concept is taught at every level. Successful athletes don't ease up when they can see the finish line. They give their maximum effort until the final whistle blows. They know that even the slightest drop in intensity can lead to failure. Business leaders and entrepreneurs face the same pressure when they near a goal. They know that complacency, even for a moment, can cause a competitor to overtake them. The fight isn't over until the goal is achieved, and it's only by maintaining focus and determination through every step that success is truly attained. The same is true for personal growth and development. As you approach the culmination of a long journey, whether it's finishing a degree, achieving a personal milestone, or completing a project, it's tempting to think that the hard work is over. But that's when you need to push the hardest. The most important thing you can do as you near the finish line is to keep your eyes on the prize, stay focused, and refuse to slow down. Complacency is the enemy of success, and it's only by continuing with the same intensity, the same focus, and the same dedication that you'll make it to the end. The reality is that success requires persistence, and that persistence is tested the most in the final stages. This is when distractions, temptations, and fatigue are at their highest, and the pressure to ease up is most intense. But this is also when your true commitment to your goal is tested. It's the final push that determines whether you succeed or not. The risk of complacency is high, but by staying focused, staying committed, and avoiding the urge to coast, you can ensure that the finish line is where you end, not where you stumble. 4. Doubt is your enemy. Doubt is a powerful force, especially when you're on the cusp of achieving something monumental. As you get closer to reaching your goal, it's common to feel the weight of uncertainty. This feeling of doubt can take many forms: questioning whether you're truly capable of succeeding, wondering if you're prepared enough, or fearing that something might go wrong despite all the effort you've invested. These thoughts can be overwhelming and make you question the very foundation of your ambition. But the truth is, this doubt is not a signal of your inadequacy. It's a natural part of the process. It's a reminder that you're on the verge of something important. It is a reaction to the fact that you're stretching beyond your current comfort zone, and it's a challenge to your growth. Doubt is an enemy because it undermines the confidence you've built, clouding your judgment and slowing your momentum. It acts like a weight, anchoring you in uncertainty and making it difficult to move forward. It tricks you into thinking you're not ready when, in fact, the preparation and work you've done have been precisely what has gotten you this far. Doubt doesn't come from a place of logic or reason. It's an emotional reaction to the unknown. It thrives when we don't trust in the process we've been following. And this is the danger. The closer you get to success, the stronger this feeling can become. It's a tactic that the mind uses to try and protect you from risk and failure, but it often has the opposite effect. It keeps you stuck, unsure, and hesitating when action is most needed. When doubt creeps in, it doesn't just affect how you think, it affects how you act. The moment you begin to doubt yourself is the moment you become more vulnerable to procrastination, hesitation, and indecision. It clouds your ability to see how far you've come and tricks you into thinking you're not enough. It may cause you to second-guess decisions you've already made, question the steps you've taken, or become fixated on potential setbacks instead of celebrating your progress. This is where doubt is dangerous. It disrupts your ability to see things clearly. Instead of maintaining momentum, you may find yourself caught in a loop of worry and fear, all because of the lingering thought that you might not succeed. But here's the thing, doubt doesn't define your potential, it's a part of the journey. The most successful people in the world have faced doubt at some point. Whether it's business moguls, athletes, or creatives, everyone experiences moments when they feel uncertain or question their abilities. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is how they deal with this doubt. The key is not to ignore it, but to push through it. When you're close to achieving something big, doubt is simply a sign that you're on the edge of a breakthrough. The closer you are to success, the more doubt tries to creep in because it knows you are pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone. But you've already come so far, your journey has equipped you with the tools you need to keep going. And now in this final stretch is the time to trust that the process has prepared you for this moment. The antidote to doubt is trust. Trust in the process you've been following. Trust in your preparation. Trust that the work you've done, no matter how difficult, is enough. Trust that every setback, every failure, and every obstacle has been a lesson that has taught you something valuable. It's easy to forget how much you've learned and grown along the way, especially when doubt clouds your perception. But when you take a step back and reflect on the obstacles you've already overcome, you begin to realize how capable you really are. Think back to all the times you've been uncertain, all the times you've been tested, and all the times you pushed through those moments. You made it through because you had the resilience, the determination, and the ability to keep moving forward. That same strength is still within you. The doubt you're feeling now is just the last hurdle before your success. Instead of letting it stop you, use it as fuel to propel you forward. Each time you feel the pull of doubt, remind yourself that this is the final test before your breakthrough. The closer you get to your goal, the more doubt will attempt to derail you. But this is when you need to push through with everything you've got. The fear and uncertainty are simply signs that you're close to achieving what you set out to do. Every great success story includes moments of doubt, moments when the person wasn't sure if they could make it. But what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who don't is the ability to keep moving forward despite those doubts. One of the most effective ways to combat doubt is to remind yourself of all the times you've faced obstacles and conquered them. Whether big or small, you've overcome challenges before, and you have the strength to do it again. Each victory, each step forward has been a building block that has prepared you for this moment. The doubt you feel now is just a temporary barrier. It won't last, but your ability to push through it will. You've already come this far, and now is not the time to give in to uncertainty. Now is the time to trust in your abilities, to trust in the work you've done, and to trust in the fact that you are ready. It's also essential to remember that doubt is not a reflection of your worth or your capabilities. It's simply a byproduct of the unknown, of stepping into territory that feels unfamiliar. Doubt exists because you're on the edge of something bigger than you've ever experienced. It's a signal that you're reaching new heights, that you're about to break through to the next level. Don't see it as a weakness, see it as confirmation that you are close,
You're not doubting because you're not good enough. You're doubting because you're about to step into a new phase of your journey, one that will require even more courage and resilience than before. So when doubt starts to creep in, don't let it stop you. Don't let it convince you that you're not capable. Instead, recognize it, sit with it, and use it as energy to push through to the next phase. You've done the work, and you are more than prepared for what lies ahead. This is the moment you've been waiting for, the moment when everything you've worked for aligns with the effort you put in. Push through the doubt, trust in yourself, and keep moving toward your goal. You're closer than you think.
5. Keep your focus. Distractions are inevitable. They are a part of every journey, and as you get closer to achieving something big, they only increase. Whether it's the opinions of others, unexpected challenges, or the noise of everyday life, distractions will come. They'll try to pull you in different directions and divert your attention from what truly matters. However, at this critical stage in your journey, maintaining focus is not just important, it is essential. Success is not defined by how many things you can juggle or how many opportunities you entertain. Success comes from the ability to focus on what's in front of you and block out anything that doesn't align with your ultimate goal. The reality is, the closer you get to your goal, the more distractions will appear. It's as if the world becomes louder and more forces try to pull you off track. There will always be people, situations, or opportunities that try to grab your attention. Sometimes these distractions may even seem important, but they're designed to take you away from your core mission. Whether it's the well-meaning advice of others, unsolicited opinions, or simply the everyday demands that come from life, distractions can often look like opportunities, making it harder to stay aligned with your purpose. When you're about to achieve something big, staying focused becomes your most valuable asset. Focus, however, is not about becoming single-minded to the point where you shut out everything else. It's about knowing where to channel your energy. It's about being clear on your priorities and aligning every action with those priorities. It's the ability to stay grounded, no matter how many competing forces come your way. Successful individuals understand that focus isn't about doing everything, it's about doing what matters. In this critical phase, every decision you make needs to be aligned with your vision. Every ounce of energy must go toward moving you closer to your goal, and distractions, no matter how appealing, need to be filtered out. This is where most people falter. They begin to pay attention to things that are irrelevant to their ultimate goal. They start chasing every new idea, opportunity, or distraction that comes their way, thinking they are being productive when in fact they're losing momentum. This is where focus becomes the distinguishing factor between those who succeed and those who struggle to reach their potential. It's not enough to simply be busy. Being busy doesn't equal being productive, and it certainly doesn't lead to success. Success requires a disciplined effort to stay focused on the task at hand. It means resisting the temptation to get pulled into things that will not help you reach your ultimate goal. Whether it's a new project, a new relationship, or a new interest, if it doesn't align with what you're working toward, it is a distraction. It may seem harmless, but it is enough to derail your focus and in turn your progress. People who are highly successful know how to set boundaries and keep distractions at bay. They stay grounded in their purpose and remain committed to their vision, even when everything around them is calling for their attention. They don't let the noise of the world drown out the clarity of their goals. This ability to stay grounded and focused is what gives them an edge. It's not about being rigid or inflexible, but about understanding that there are times when you need to block out the noise in order to make the most progress. In the final stretch of your journey towards success, this focus is even more important. You've put in the work, and now is not the time to waver. The closer you get to achieving something big, the more tempting distractions will become. The urge to celebrate too early, to slack off, or to get sidetracked by things that seem important but aren't, can become overwhelming. But you must resist that temptation. The last phase of any achievement requires more energy, more concentration, and more discipline than any other part of the process. This is when focus is your most powerful tool. It's not the time to let up or let distractions creep in. It's the time to double down. Focus is the laser-like attention on your goal that helps you power through the toughest moments. It's what keeps you going when your energy starts to dip, when doubt starts to creep in, or when the world around you seems to be moving in every direction but forward. Focus enables you to ignore the distractions and keep your attention on what you've set out to accomplish. It's the ability to block out the noise, the distractions, and the things that are pulling you away from your vision. The reason many people fall short of their potential is not because they lack the ability to achieve greatness, but because they get distracted by things that ultimately don't matter in the grand scheme of their goals. They lose sight of what's important, chasing every fleeting opportunity that comes their way, thinking that every new distraction is a step toward their success. But the truth is, every time you divert your energy and attention away from what matters most, you delay your success and risk losing sight of your purpose. To be successful, you must develop the discipline to stay focused, no matter how many distractions appear. You need to learn how to prioritize your time, your energy, and your resources. This doesn't mean completely ignoring the world around you, but it means knowing when to engage and when to block out the noise. It means making sure that the things you focus on directly contribute to your long-term vision. Whether it's sticking to your work schedule, ignoring unsolicited advice, or saying no to distractions that don't align with your mission, staying focused requires both clarity and discipline. Success is not an accident, it's the result of continuous, focused effort toward a specific goal. The people who achieve greatness don't just show up, they stay focused on their objective, no matter how much noise is happening around them. They filter out the irrelevant and give their attention to the things that truly matter. In those final moments when everything is on the line, focus becomes even more important. The difference between those who cross the finish line and those who fall short is not always talent or resources, it's focus. Focus is what enables you to push through the hardest parts of your journey. It's what keeps you grounded, even when everything around you seems to be pulling you away from your goal. And it's what ensures that you cross the finish line, not as someone who was distracted by everything, but as someone who stayed true to their purpose. 6. Trust the process. The journey toward achieving something significant is never a straight line. No matter how clear your vision is or how well you plan, the path to success will inevitably involve unexpected obstacles, setbacks, and periods of uncertainty. It's not a smooth, predictable ride. The outcome may not always look the way you expected it to. In fact, it's often quite different from the picture you initially had in your mind, but this is where the real challenge and the real growth happens. It's not the bumps along the way that define your success, it's how you respond to them. And the key to overcoming the ups and downs of the journey lies in trusting the process. Success isn't reserved for those who have the clearest path or the most straightforward goals. It's for those who, despite the twists and turns, keep moving forward. Trusting the process is what sets achievers apart from dreamers. Dreamers may have big ideas, but they often lack the resilience to stay on course when things get tough. Achievers, on the other hand, understand that the road to success is filled with unexpected challenges. They know that things may not always go as planned, and they accept that as part of the journey. What they do differently is continue pushing forward. They trust that every step, no matter how difficult or uncertain, is part of the bigger picture. When you trust the process, it doesn't mean that you'll be passive. Trusting doesn't equal inaction, it's the opposite. It means believing in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. The challenges, the changes in direction, the failures, all of it is part of what prepares you for the final goal. Trusting the process means having the confidence to keep going even when things don't seem to be working in your favor. It's about understanding that setbacks are not signs of defeat, but rather an inevitable part of the journey. When things don't go according to plan, it's not the end, it's just a signal to adjust your course, to adapt and to continue. This is where many people falter. They hit an obstacle, experience a delay, or face an unexpected challenge, and they immediately question the entire process. The moment they encounter a setback, they doubt their ability to succeed, and that doubt often leads to quitting or changing direction. But achieving anything meaningful requires resilience. It requires a mindset that views obstacles not as roadblocks but as opportunities to learn and grow. It's not the ones who never face challenges who succeed. It's the ones who trust that they can navigate through the challenges, adapt and keep moving forward. When you trust the process, you are committing to the understanding that progress is rarely immediate. Success takes time, and while it may not look like much is happening at times, the work you're doing in the background is building the foundation for what is to come. It's easy to look at someone else's success and assume that they've had an easy ride, that they've found the shortcut. But what's often unseen is the quiet, consistent work that happens behind the scenes. It's the long hours, the days filled with self-doubt, the setbacks, the lessons learned, and the moments when things weren't going according to plan, but they kept moving forward anyway. Trusting the process means having faith that the efforts you're making now, even when they don't seem to be paying off immediately, are leading you to where you need to be. This isn't about blind faith though. It's not about sticking with something that isn't working. It's about confidence in your ability to adjust, to course correct, and to adapt your strategy when necessary. Trusting the process means being proactive, not reactive. It means paying attention to the signals and learning from every experience. It's about believing in your ability to rise to the occasion when you encounter obstacles, rather than being defeated by them. The process isn't linear, and the path to success is often far from clear. But the most successful individuals don't wait for the perfect path to unfold. They take action based on what they know, and they adjust as they go. Trusting the process also means staying grounded in your vision and staying focused on the long-term goal, not getting distracted by short-term results or setbacks. In the age of instant gratification, it's easy to want quick results, but true success doesn't come overnight. It's built over time, with consistent effort and unwavering commitment. And sometimes, you'll face moments where the end goal feels far out of reach. It's in these moments that trusting the process becomes even more important.
It's in these moments that your belief in the journey, the faith that you are doing the right thing, and that the process is unfolding as it should, is what will keep you going. Trusting the process is also about being patient. Patience is often overlooked in the pursuit of success, but it's one of the most essential ingredients. The world of hustle culture often promotes the idea that if you're not seeing fast results, you're failing. This can lead to frustration and impatience. But real growth takes time, it takes persistence, it takes trial and error, and it's through these trials, through the process itself, that you build the skill, resilience and mindset necessary for long-term success. When you trust the process, you understand that success isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's the ongoing effort, the continual adaptation, and the learning that happens along the way. You'll face setbacks, sure, but with each one, you'll learn more about yourself and your ability to navigate challenges. Trusting the process means believing that every step, no matter how small or imperfect, is bringing you closer to your goal. Every failure teaches you something, every delay gives you more time to prepare, and every obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Trusting the process doesn't mean blindly following a plan, it means understanding that success is built through action, adaptation, and perseverance. When things don't go as planned, it's not the end of the journey, it's simply a sign that it's time to adjust. Every great achievement is the result of not just following the process, but of adapting and growing through it. Trust the process, trust yourself, and trust that with every step you take, you're moving closer to your goal. Even if you can't see it yet, the process is working, and you are too. 7. Preparation meets opportunity. In the final stretch of any pursuit, there is a critical moment when all of your preparation aligns with an opportunity. This is when everything you've worked for, the countless hours of effort, the challenges you've endured, and the sacrifices you've made, starts to come together. This moment is not a coincidence, it's the culmination of everything you've done up until now. But success isn't something that just happens out of nowhere. It doesn't fall into your lap because you were working hard. It happens because when the opportunity presents itself, you're ready to seize it. Preparation is the foundation of success. Many people mistakenly believe that success is about being in the right place at the right time, but being in the right place is only part of the equation. The other part is being ready when the moment arrives. Opportunities don't wait for you to catch up. They present themselves when you're prepared to take action. This is where preparation meets opportunity. If you're not ready, you can miss the chance, even if it's right in front of you. That's why preparation is so crucial. It's the difference between being able to act when the moment comes and missing out entirely. In many ways, preparation is an ongoing process. It's about continually honing your skills, refining your craft, and maintaining a level of discipline that ensures you're always improving. The work you've done, the setbacks you've overcome, and the time you've invested are all part of this preparation. But preparation isn't just about the skills you develop, it's also about your mindset. It's about cultivating the mental and emotional resilience that will allow you to take advantage of opportunities when they arise. It's about staying focused even when things get difficult and keeping your eye on the prize even when the road gets tough. Opportunity is not a guaranteed thing. It's fleeting, unpredictable, and often arrives when you least expect it. Sometimes opportunities come in the form of a new job, a business deal, or a collaboration. Other times they come in the form of a small moment, a chance encounter, a random piece of advice, or a fleeting idea. But no matter what form the opportunity takes, it will only have value if you're ready to act on it. That's why preparation matters. It's what ensures that you don't let the opportunity pass you by. When the time comes, you need to be in a position to take full advantage of it. There's also an element of timing here. Opportunities often arrive when you're least expecting them, which means the preparation you've done up until this point may not be tied to an obvious moment or event. That's why staying prepared is important, even when it seems like you're not directly working towards something specific. Every piece of knowledge you gain, every skill you develop, and every challenge you overcome is building the foundation for your success. The moment may not arrive in the exact form you envisioned, but if you've prepared, you'll be able to recognize the opportunity when it comes. Think of it like training for a marathon. You don't know when you'll be asked to run the race. You only know that you've put in the work. All the long runs, the strength training, and the sacrifices you've made during training don't guarantee that you'll cross the finish line, but they do ensure that you're capable of running when the race starts. Success works in much the same way. When the race begins, when the opportunity presents itself, you need to be able to go the distance. Without the preparation, you'll be caught off guard, unable to perform at your best. But when you've put in the work, the opportunity doesn't seem as daunting. You're ready. This doesn't mean that success is purely about individual effort though. Timing, circumstances, and external factors all play a role. But when preparation meets opportunity, the external factors become less important. You're ready to take advantage of whatever comes your way. That's the beauty of preparation. It shifts the control back into your hands, because you've done everything within your power to be ready for whatever arises. Whether it's a chance to showcase your skills, or a new project that aligns with your vision, preparation ensures that you're able to act quickly, decisively, and with confidence. Preparation also involves maintaining a mindset of flexibility. As much as preparation is about honing your skills, it's also about being open to change and unexpected opportunities. If you're too rigid in your approach, you may miss opportunities because they don't match your exact plan. But if you remain open-minded and adaptable, the opportunities that come your way may be even better than what you expected. Preparation is as much about mental readiness as it is about technical ability. It's about being able to pivot when necessary and recognize opportunities that might not fit into your original vision but align with your broader goals. The key to success is not just about having the right skills or resources, it's about being in the right mindset when the moment arrives. Preparation provides the confidence and self-assurance to make decisions, take action, and trust your abilities when opportunity knocks. The hard work you've put in up until this point prepares you to act swiftly when needed. It's not just about waiting for something to happen, it's about positioning yourself to capitalize on the opportunities when they appear. In the final stretch, the work you've put in, the skills you've developed, and the resilience you've built will all come to fruition. But none of it will matter if you're not prepared. Opportunities often come at the most unexpected times, and if you're not ready to seize them, you'll miss them. That's why preparation is key to success. It's not enough to simply hope that things will fall into place. You must actively prepare, constantly sharpen your skills, and maintain the discipline to stay focused on your goals. When the opportunity presents itself, you need to be ready to grab it with both hands. Your preparation will be what sets you apart and ensures that you can make the most of the moment when it comes. 8. The power of patience. In the final stretch of any major achievement, patience becomes one of the most important qualities you can possess. The urge to rush, to speed through the last steps, or to force results is powerful, especially when success feels so close. It's a natural human reaction to want to expedite the process when you can see the finish line ahead of you, and the closer you get, the more tempting it becomes to push harder, to make things happen faster. However, rushing through these last moments can lead to mistakes, burnout, or missed opportunities. Success isn't a race to the end, it's a steady, controlled movement toward completion. True success requires patience, especially when the reward feels within reach. Patience, however, is often misunderstood. It's not simply about waiting idly for things to unfold, it's much deeper than that. Patience involves maintaining a calm, composed mindset while things unfold in their own time. It's the ability to hold your focus and stay grounded, even when the world around you is urging you to hurry. Patience doesn't mean inaction or passivity. It means allowing the process to take its course without forcing things to happen prematurely. It's about trusting that, while the timeline may not be as fast as you'd like, every step you've taken, every decision you've made, and every challenge you've overcome has been part of a larger process that is leading you to your goal. In fact, one of the most critical aspects of patience is the trust it fosters. When you're patient, you trust that everything is moving in the right direction, even if it doesn't seem that way in the moment. In high-stakes situations, it's easy to get caught up in the urgency of the outcome. The closer you get to your goal, the more pressure you may feel to make it happen immediately. But real growth and achievement don't happen in a rush. They happen when you give yourself the time and space to finish what you've started, even if it means waiting for things to align naturally. Patience is essential because it helps prevent you from reacting impulsively. When you rush decisions, you may overlook key details, misinterpret opportunities, or fail to fully recognize the challenges that lie ahead. Rushing through the final stages of any endeavor can result in poor decisions that could undo everything you've worked for. Patience allows you to take a step back, evaluate your options, and make the best decision possible, rather than making an emotional or rushed choice that may not serve your long-term goals. But patience isn't just about waiting for something to happen, it's also about maintaining focus during those moments of uncertainty. When you don't see immediate results, or when things seem to stall, patience allows you to keep your eyes on the end goal, and trust that progress is still being made, even if it's not immediately visible. The final moments before success often bring the most doubt and anxiety. You've invested so much time and energy into reaching your goal, and when the finish line is within sight, it can feel like the pressure to make it happen is immense. Patience in this moment is the difference between being overwhelmed by that pressure and remaining calm, knowing that everything you've done up until now is sufficient to carry you through. One of the key components of patience is self-control. It requires the ability to manage your impulses and resist the temptation to rush or force outcomes. Self-control is a powerful skill that has been studied in psychology and neuroscience. Research, particularly the work of Walter Mischel on delayed gratification, has shown that the ability to delay immediate desires for long-term rewards is closely tied to success in many areas of life.
In the context of achieving big goals, patience is your way of delaying the need for instant results in favor of the deeper, more satisfying reward that comes from achieving your goal the right way. It's about understanding that the work, effort, and waiting are all part of a larger process that is worth the investment. But patience doesn't come without its challenges. It requires mental fortitude and emotional regulation, especially when things don't go according to plan. There will be moments when you feel frustrated, anxious, or overwhelmed by how slowly things seem to be progressing. You may question whether you've done enough, or if the goal is even worth pursuing. In those moments, patience becomes a practice, a conscious decision to remain steady and committed to your path. When you exercise patience, you acknowledge that challenges are part of the process, and that overcoming them will only make the success that much sweeter. In practical terms, patience in the final moments before success is about maintaining momentum without burning out. It's about resisting the urge to push yourself to the point of exhaustion, or to make hasty decisions that might compromise the integrity of your progress. The most successful individuals are those who understand that the final stretch requires the same level of care and dedication as every other part of the journey. They know that success isn't about rushing, it's about pacing yourself and staying true to the process. Patience also teaches you to savor the process. When you're not in a hurry to get to the end, you can appreciate the nuances of what you're doing, you can learn from each experience, make adjustments when necessary, and see the incremental growth that happens each day. This gradual accumulation of small victories is often where the real success lies, not in a single big moment, but in the steady progress made along the way. Patience allows you to appreciate those small wins, to feel gratitude for how far you've come, and to stay connected to the reason you started in the first place. Patience is the calmness that allows you to handle pressure without losing focus or composure. It's what keeps you grounded, even when things feel overwhelming or uncertain. Patience doesn't mean passivity, it means being proactive while trusting the process to unfold in its own time. It's about knowing that your hard work has been building toward this moment, and trusting that the right results will come when you stay true to the path. When you practice patience, you allow the process to run its course, and you give yourself the space to fully experience the rewards of your efforts. In the end, it's that patience and composure in the final moments that will allow you to enjoy the true fruits of your labor.
9. Embrace the challenge. As you draw closer to achieving something significant, the obstacles you face become more pronounced, more demanding. It's easy to assume that the closer you get to your goal, the smoother the path should become, but this is not the reality. In fact, the final stretch is often where the challenges intensify. It is at this stage that your resolve and determination are truly tested. The pressure builds, the stakes rise, and every decision becomes more crucial. While many see these final hurdles as a negative, as something to fear or avoid, they are actually a sign that you are on the right track. Challenges are not only part of the journey, they are an essential ingredient for growth. Without them, progress would be meaningless. Without setbacks, there would be no strength. Every challenge that presents itself during this phase is an opportunity in disguise. These challenges may initially seem like roadblocks, things that are standing in your way or preventing you from reaching your destination. But in reality, these obstacles are helping to shape you. They are pushing you beyond your limits, forcing you to adapt, to think critically, and to develop the strength needed to reach your goal. The more difficult the challenge, the greater the reward will be when you finally overcome it. This is where many people make the mistake of viewing challenges as something negative or something to fear. They see obstacles as signs that they are failing or that they are not meant to succeed. The truth is, challenges are inevitable. They are part of every success story. The most accomplished people in the world didn't get there by avoiding difficulty. They reached their peak because they faced every challenge head-on, using each setback as a lesson rather than a defeat. Challenges are not to be feared, they are to be embraced. The pressure you feel in these final moments before success is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something right. You are on the verge of breaking through to a new level, and the pressure is the universe's way of helping you grow. Instead of seeing the pressure as something that might break you, view it as something that will make you stronger. Every time you face a difficult situation, you learn more about yourself. You discover your inner strength, your ability to persevere, and your capacity to adapt. These challenges are forging the mental, emotional, and physical resilience you'll need to maintain your success once you've reached it. You'll be faced with decisions that will push you beyond your comfort zone. You'll be tested not only on your abilities, but also on your mindset. Your mental toughness will be the deciding factor in whether you overcome the final hurdles or whether you give in to doubt and fear. The key is to embrace the challenge, to accept that obstacles are part of the process, and to trust that each one is helping you build the strength you need. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going smoothly, but that is when your resolve will be tested the most. The pressure may be overwhelming, but if you shift your perspective, you'll see it for what it is, a catalyst for your growth. It's also important to recognize that challenges are not a sign of failure, they are a sign of progress. If the journey was smooth and without obstacles, there would be no opportunity for you to grow. The challenges that arise, especially in the final stretch, are proof that you are getting closer to your goal. The harder the battle, the greater the victory. When you face an obstacle in the final stretch, it's not a signal that you're failing, it's a signal that you're almost there. Success rarely comes easily, and it's the final hurdles that determine whether you'll push through or turn back. But if you approach these challenges with the mindset that they are there to help you grow, you'll have the strength to overcome them and continue forward. One of the most empowering things you can do when faced with a challenge is to reframe it. Instead of seeing the obstacle as something standing in your way, try to see it as an opportunity for growth. Each challenge is helping you develop the skills, mindset, and resilience that you'll need, not just to achieve your goal, but to maintain your success once you've reached it. The best thing you can do in the face of a challenge is not to shy away from it, but to lean into it. See it for what it truly is, a stepping stone on your path to success. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go according to plan. It's easy to think that you've done something wrong, or that the universe is working against you. But every successful person has faced moments when the odds seemed stacked against them. What sets them apart is their ability to embrace the challenge, to remain focused on their goal, and to keep pushing forward no matter what. They don't see obstacles as barriers, they see them as opportunities to prove their strength, to push their limits, and to get one step closer to their dreams. In these moments, when it feels like everything is on the line, don't back down, embrace the challenge, and let it propel you forward. The pressure, the uncertainty, and the obstacles are all part of the journey. They are not there to break you, they are there to build you. By facing each challenge head-on, you will not only reach your goal, but become stronger, more resilient, and more capable of achieving even greater things in the future. The road to success is never easy, but it's the challenges along the way that make the rewards so much sweeter. Embrace the challenges and use them to propel you to the next level. 10. The finish line is just the beginning. When you finally achieve something big, it's easy to feel like the journey is over. The finish line, after all, represents the culmination of months or even years of hard work, sacrifice, and persistence. You've put in the effort, faced the obstacles, and now you've reached the goal you set for yourself. It feels like the end, but the truth is, achieving something significant is never the end of the journey, it's just the beginning of the next chapter in your life. The completion of one goal doesn't mark the closure of your pursuit of success, it simply opens the door to new opportunities, new challenges, and new horizons. Success is not a one-time achievement, it's a continuous process of growth, achievement, and evolution. Once you've reached your goal, it's natural to feel a sense of accomplishment and to take a moment to celebrate. After all, the journey to success is often long and challenging, and taking a breath to appreciate how far you've come is important. However, the moment of celebration should not be the moment where you stop. It should be the moment where you harness the momentum of your achievement and use it to fuel the next phase of your journey. The momentum that comes with success is a powerful force, and if you stop at the finish line, you risk losing that drive. The misconception many people have is that success is about achieving a specific goal and then stopping. They believe that success is a destination, a place to arrive at, but in reality, success is about the journey. It's not about achieving something for the sake of the achievement itself. It's about building a life that continually evolves, a life where each success leads to new opportunities for growth and accomplishment. The reason why so many high achievers continue to push forward, even after reaching incredible milestones, is because they understand that success is not static. They understand that their growth doesn't end with the achievement of one goal, but that each success lays the foundation for the next one. Your success today does not define who you are for the rest of your life. It is just one chapter in your ongoing story. While reaching your goal may feel like a significant milestone, it's just one step on a longer path. The sense of accomplishment you feel should be appreciated, but it should not be mistaken for the final destination. Instead, it's an important marker on the journey, one that will lead you to even greater accomplishments if you continue to push forward. People who achieve extraordinary things don't rest on their laurels. They understand that the finish line isn't the end, but the beginning of something new. Each success they achieve is simply a stepping stone to the next challenge, the next opportunity, and the next phase of their growth. Think about the greatest minds in history, the inventors, the leaders, the creatives. They didn't stop after achieving one breakthrough. Instead, they used each accomplishment as a launchpad to tackle something bigger, more ambitious, or more complex. Take Thomas Edison, for example. He didn't stop after inventing the light bulb. He continued to innovate, creating a series of breakthroughs in electricity and technology. Or consider Steve Jobs. After creating the first Apple computer, he didn't stop. He pushed forward, developing the iPhone, the iPad, and changing the way we live and communicate. These individuals didn't treat success as a one-time event. Instead, they viewed it as a part of an ongoing cycle of achievement and growth. Similarly, in your own life, when you reach your goal,
it's important to take a moment to reflect on what you've accomplished. Celebrate the effort, the persistence, and the lessons learned along the way. But don't let that celebration lead to complacency. Use the sense of achievement to fuel the next goal. The reality is, there's always more to do, more to learn, and more to achieve. When you reach one finish line, it's simply time to set your sights on the next. And this isn't about constantly chasing after success for the sake of success. It's about building a life that is fulfilling and aligned with your deepest goals and values. The journey doesn't end with any single achievement. It's a continuous cycle of growth, and the finish line is merely a point along the path. When you achieve something significant, it's easy to get caught up in the idea of resting or slowing down. But true fulfillment comes not from completing one goal, but from continuing to evolve. People who achieve lasting success understand that their current goal is just a part of a much larger journey. Every new goal, every new challenge is an opportunity to grow, to improve, and to refine your skills, knowledge, and mindset. With each new challenge comes the chance to stretch beyond what you've already achieved, to push your limits and to see just how far you can go. The key is to recognize that success isn't an endpoint, but a stepping stone. Once you achieve something big, take a moment to appreciate the journey that brought you to that point, but then, use that moment to propel yourself forward into the next adventure. This ongoing pursuit of growth, achievement, and self-improvement is what makes life meaningful. Success isn't about a single victory, it's about a continuous cycle of challenges and triumphs, each one building upon the last, shaping you into the person you're meant to become. In essence, when you reach your goal, don't view it as the final destination. The finish line is simply a marker along a much longer path. Every achievement you reach is a sign of your progress, but it should also serve as a reminder that there is more to explore, more to experience, and more to achieve. The best thing you can do when you achieve something big is not to stop, but to keep moving forward, using the momentum from your success to propel you toward even greater accomplishments. This mindset is what will keep you growing, learning, and evolving, and it's what will help you build a life that's not just successful, but continuously fulfilling.